Lads, we're back.
Hey guys,
Still here.
Oh, hey, hey,
Not planning on going anywhere anytime soon.
Hey, no. An Eichel trade might happen anytime now.
breaking news. No, not yet.
No,
Imagine.
well, we have a breaking rumor, a breaking tremor, a breaking click in the tectonic plates.
Breaking teaser. There you go.
Breaking teaser. This is from not long ago from Kevin Weeks, and we're going to talk a lot about Cheveldayoff and Bettman and all that in a little while. But this is from Kevin Weeks, really great guy. Quote, for all asking, my understanding is the Flames have Tkachuk, an upcoming first-round pick, a former first-round pick, so probably someone drafted in the first, and 2 prospects in the Eichel sweepstakes with Buffalo. We know from Emily Kaplan's report yesterday that the 2 finalists are Vegas and Calgary, and as she puts it, the trade is at the 1-yard line. So we're all on the sort of, we're the refs looking down the line to see if it's going to be good or it's not. I don't know football that well, so I don't know what the other term would be. But offside? There's offsides in that sport too. So
In football,
there
yeah,
we go.
I think so.
Yeah.
So that's going to be... So how has this trade not happened, by the way? That you have a player who may not play this year? They're going to have to give up a significant player and then,
Said
How
player
Buffalo
doesn't
not
want to go to
taking it?
Buffalo.
Like, how does Vegas beat that package, by the way?
So I just went to go look at Vegas right now because if we're comparing the 2 packages, right? So it's a first. Can you read it out again? Sorry.
So it's basically Tkachuk,
Yep.
a player who is a former first round pick,
Okay.
a first round pick upcoming,
Okay.
and 2 prospects. So 5 assets, which I is pretty sure exactly what Buffalo wanted the whole time.
Yeah. So I'm not entirely sure how Vegas beats this trade. I mean, I'm sure they can put a package similar in terms of what they're giving. It's just the value of what Calgary can give is so much higher because according to, I think it was Merrick and Friedman, Peyton Krebs is he's untouchable for whatever reason, whatever. So it really leaves you with not a whole lot to give up since, you traded the 3 first-round picks you got in your first year, right? If you had even one of those guys, like I wonder how much Cody Glass changes the look for this trade. Whatever, that's besides the point. It's just I don't think Vegas have the capital to compete with that trade.
Yeah,
Hey, Nolan,
I
Patrick.
I
Sorry,
agree.
go on, Dan.
No worries. I think Vegas could really throw a lot of, I guess, like certain assets, but there's so many unknowns to it that the Matthew Tkachuk thing just pushes it over the edge for me. That he's still so young. He's a guy that I think is going to keep getting better, and he's just someone that I said in my tweet that I'm actually shocked that they added him here.
Yeah.
Because I really saw him as a building block that I'd put over Johnny Gaudreau, that I put over that entire defensive core, a guy who even Kevin Weeks said in his tweet, a potential future captain, somebody that I thought that was going to help instill or at least ride it out and see how they're going to establish a winning culture there again. And for this to happen, for them to kind of, because they've been okay this year, right? Like if this trade actually goes through, it does take them a step back, at least for now, until Eichel's fully healthy.
May I provide a theory as to why they're not... What was the famous Boston clip? He may be a good player, but does he fit our culture? We know it's a divided room, and we know for some reason there is some sort of loyalty to Gaudreau and Monahan, which I do not understand. Now, if you look at this offseason, by the way, Flames are going to look a little different next year when you think about it. Because the following players are up. Zadorov, that guy just keeps showing up. Eric Goodbranson, another guy who keeps showing up. Michael Stone, who will come back. Oliver Killington, you see that goal he had last night, by the way. That was pretty sick. Has arbitration rights. Tyler Pitlick, Brett Ritchie, Trevor Lewis, Brad Richardson is still around in the league. Andrew Mangiapane is an RFA this year, arbitration rights. We know Gaudreau is up. And so is maybe they see there's an easier route to go now with Mangiapane, who again is also a holdout. I just realized. Remember, he was that one RFA. We're like, who the hell is this guy? And now he's good. So maybe they don't see that. Maybe there's been some discussion. It just hasn't quite been where it is. But I mean, first off, if this happens, now this is one of those examples where we had the discussion and there's no need to talk about it next episode because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a good trade. It really is. Like, if you can pull that off, I don't care what you're really going to give up. Because if you lock up, obviously, Gaudreau, and he's elevated because he'll play with Eichel, and that's a pretty nasty that's going to be Team USA for a long time when you look at it. And Mangiapane, all of a sudden, you still have Backlund's around there. Another year for Monahan to figure it out. And Lindholm's got some years left. The team is all of a sudden like, I can see that. Not to mention McDavid, Eichel, Battle of Alberta, 1-2 draft that year. Tell me that's not juicy.
And I
like
think, sorry, no, go ahead, Daniel.
Oh no, I was just saying I like it a lot. And we didn't mention the defense, where I think they're a very underrated defensive core.
Yeah, like I think we don't know, or we've had this issue with trying to figure out what Noah Hannafin is. And then you look at Rasmus Anderson, and then you got Chris Tanev there. There was that fourth spot that we're like, who's it going to be? And we were kind of just filtering through names. But I think what they have, like Oliver Shillington stepped up. That's a guy who could easily go there.
Valimaki too.
Valimaki as well. Well, I'm just assuming Valimaki's in the trade at this point.
Yeah,
at this point, like he's got. I assume he's a one of those pieces. But they have a decent decor to go along with that forward core. Like you can't complain.
I actually thought it was going to be Connor Zary being included in the trade. That was the prediction I kind of had for now.
Dylan Dubé, is he a first rounder?
No, he's a second rounder.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good pick. I'm just thinking Team Captain Canada must have been a first rounder. We won't take the time to go through every first round pick. Maybe it's Sean Monahan. I don't know. But I'm just saying. That'll be fun. Hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. By the way, look at Vegas. I just decided to quickly just have a check. On IR, Mark Stone, Nolan Patrick, Zach Whitecloud. On LTIR, Jake Bischoff. That's not a real person. Alex Tuck and Max Pacioretty. They're not in a great way right now.
I think William Karlsson, he just broke his foot.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So he'll be on LTIR for a month or so.
So, maybe if they can get it done with the LTIR room, they could have him on there for the. It's not impossible, but just when you think of the value, as I think you mentioned earlier, Alex, it's just it's difficult to see compared to that Calgary package. It really is. All right. Anything else we want to touch on with Eichel and that, or
no?
I'm afraid to get off this broadcast because I have a feeling that it's gonna break right when we end this.
Yeah, I have Twitter open.
Okay.
Remember when we stopped recording, the Arizona Coyotes were like penalized for the draft combine stuff, and then we came back and we're like, "Hey, it's happening." That's the good thing. Yeah, we've had Didn't Hughes.
Does that look like a remix?
And Mike stopped and came back. Didn't Hughes break like hours after recording? Anyway.
So. Yeah.
Speaking of the Coyotes and how they were punished, the commissioner spoke. Mr. Bettman did. We're also going to talk about stuff like Brad Aldrich and the sort of Donald Fuhr stuff too. But first, the commissioner spoke the other day, him and Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley. And I think we kind of teased as the Aldrich and more, I should call it the Kevin Beat stuff. Right as all of it started really unraveling, like last week, we sort of just hinted like, what's going to happen to Bettman here? And I kind of had this thought looking at this press conference. I don't know how much longer Gary Bettman's going to last as commissioner of the NHL. I don't think it will be soon he's gone. But as the days go on here, I'm starting to question it. Now, the point has been made very much, and so I'm going to be echoing a lot of people here. Sorry if you've heard this, but this was a press conference that needed to be emotionally intelligent. One person called it. I think it was Adam Wilde. Need to have some empathy in it. Guys like Jeff Merrick have said there needed to be compassion from the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. We've all heard them talk before. I think sometimes Daly can have a laugh, but Bettman, no. And we saw it yet again, and it was the normal talk of lawyer speak, failing to commit to anything, being on record, saying anything. It was emotionally empty, or I should say emotionally bankrupt, I think is a good word to use there. Before we get to some of the specific stuff, and I hate doing this, but I'm going to steal something from Adam Wilde, and I'm going to ask you two, how did you guys feel watching that press conference? Because I, for one, was extremely frustrated watching it. And I'll start with Alex here.
Okay. Yes, I was very frustrated, like watching it, just because. Not that I got stuff from it. Like I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. I got stuff from it. It was just all the wrong things to get from it. And I think I pointed it out a couple days later. It was the body language just threw me off. Their body language while talking, like their body language was saying one thing, but the way they were talking was something completely different. And it just threw me for a loop.
Bettman looked annoyed. Like the way, there's this one shot, I want to say in the back half, and he's just tapping this table. I'm thinking, you have the nerve to be mad right now? Sorry, Daniel, how did you feel watching it, or however you consumed it?
Okay, I think that he was annoyed, and this is just a theory I have, because probably their lawyers prime them like crazy to make sure that they just, go along with what just needs to be said and just say something to it. Because I went in to the press conference knowing that I was going to be disappointed, knowing that, again, like we talk about the culture, we talk about what's already been said on so many previous cases or even like previous incidences, that I went in knowing I was going to be disappointed, and it's still that same feeling. I know that there's still that level of understanding that, yeah, like there's something he gave to the media for them to talk about, but again, it's just short, and they were all short and to the point. And I don't know. I think there's potential here now, not from Bettman, but from the league, and it's been mentioned before. Alan Walsh, we know his tweet that maybe there is that greater level of understanding now from the owners, from management, that they have to say, like, yeah, listen, we have to kind of really address this now, and we can't just let it be something again that they forget about.
I saw the Alan Walsh tweet as well. And listen, man, I love Alan Walsh. Like, I agree with plenty of things that he says. To what extent is it, like, whatever, it just depends on the situation. I take what he wrote in terms of owners being upset with a grain of salt. Obviously, he is an agent. He is obviously always going to be pro player. I don't know his relationship with the owners, but I'm careful in saying that the owners want him gone. Like, it's just what my opinion. Like, do I agree with it? Not necessarily. Like, I think maybe we're past the point of what Gary Bettman was brought in to do. I very much believe that. I'm weary of saying that the owners want him gone.
So for context, it's 3 tweets here. I'll just read them quickly. Again, this is from Alan Walsh's Twitter account. Alan Walsh, who we know is never afraid to voice his opinion. It's quite refreshing, actually. Yeah. And I mean, he is an agent, so I'm sure there are some owners, some GMs out there. They're like, oh, Alan, what do you mean you want 3 years at 6.5? I want to give you 6.1. Anyway, so here's the first tweet. Quote, I'm hearing this morning that several NHL owners are, quote, very concerned and unhappy with Bettman's leadership. I think even the owners realize it's time for a change in the NHL, and culture only changes from the top down. It is time to, in all caps, fire Bettman. Second tweet, from the way Gary has mismanaged the horrific events in Chicago to his refusal to acknowledge a link between traumatic brain injury and CTE, for doing nothing to help retired players, for calling the NHL a, quote, family, for the Department of Player suspensions, for the way the game is marketed, for the lack of any coherent global strategy, for turning his back on issues like painkillers, Ambien, and Teradol abuse, for his lack of empathy and caring, for his 3 lockouts, and all the lies. It's time for Gary to go. I think definitely what I'm surprised he didn't say in his installation of the salary cap. It feels like what Allen did very well there was remind people when right now people I don't think are on Twitter reading some of this stuff more than now, was he did a very good job of, besides this stuff with Chicago, he has just basically pointed out everything wrong with Gary Bettman's tenure as commissioner. He's done stuff well. We have complimented Gary a fair bit on the show for what he's done for the game in the States. I mean, doesn't probably do a lot of that without Wayne Gretzky being an LA King, but and I know he came in 93, died, shut up, you know what I mean? And honestly, but then we forget how the game has been treated in Canada by the commissioner. Go listen to our episode with Will Baldwin for that. But I do think what I will say is I'm a bit, listen, I won't doubt that there are some owners in there. It's just, are the important ones concerned, aka the worst kept secret in hockey besides the amount of cocaine players take. How does Jeremy Jacobs feel about this is how I really think about it,
right?
Because, and again, I think it's the commissioner needs I think it's 8 owners to still be cool with him, or I don't quote me on that, but
the thing I think maybe that Alan didn't include, or Alan Walsh did not include in that tweet, and I think it is important, is at the end of the day, if the owners want Gary there, the owners are going to keep Gary there. And he listed all these things that Gary Bettman and co have done. And he's still in 2021 and he is still commissioner of this league. So I get he's listing all these things, but the owners at some point would have said, well, come on, Gary, like this isn't how we want to run the organization, like how we want to run the league. Like that's an important thing to think of. The Gary Bettman is, in my opinion, in a way, an extension of the owners. Like he represents the owners. So what he does is also a representation of the owners. So those things he's done in the past, well, the owners don't seem too pissed off about it or pissed off enough to kick him out.
I think, this is a theory of mine. If Mark Chipman had not had that quote in his press conference, that was the Kevin Cheveldayoff I know would have acted in 2011. That was the moment where I realized I know why you're still hired right now, is the owner had his back. Now, we'll get to that conference later because I think Chipman said the right things, and you can tell for certain points he was being quite honest. Another sort of, we're going to go into some of the talking points here. So the big one, I think that's going to upset like us three in particular, was sort of the way, and this is not as serious as some other stuff that's going to be talked about in a second here. We will talk about the Sheldon Kennedy. We'll talk about that first. So Pierre LeBrun, who later on made sure that the NA had made the comment about maybe you should be taking a question from Rick Westhead here, asked about or mentioned how Sheldon Kennedy has not been the league have not contacted him. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, because I don't blame you, I'm not super familiar with the whole Sheldon Kennedy thing. I looked it up. He was sexually abused by, his name is Graham James. This is also the guy who admitted to sexually assaulting Theo Fleury in his junior career. So again, that was, the guy admitted it. So, of course, now the big thing that Bettman said in response to Pierre LeBrun saying, why has he not been, it was a passing note, but it was so just sort of, I'm getting a little annoyed thinking about it here. Bettman threw this side thing of like, oh, we're trying to talk to people, there's no concrete details, of we're going to do it on this day. And then he had this little dig that was like, it didn't happen at the NHL level.
Yeah.
And it's just another layer of Bettman always being like, if it didn't happen at the NHL, we don't care. and it's again him ignoring the issues of hockey, and it is probably what owners love the most about Gary, about his focus in the NHL and them. But when it comes to the sport itself, it is the biggest criticism against him, that if it's beyond the borders of the NHL, he is blind to it. It's sickening to say that.
And that's it is. It's just like that very much rugby, not in a great way. And I think that goes back to the point I was making earlier. In what he was brought on to do is he's still doing the same things he was brought on to do in 1993, I think it was to kind of get the NHL under control. Like, it wasn't great. Like, the owners situation was, you think now it's bad with Arizona. It was obviously much worse years ago. But to grow the NHL, that's what his job, what he was brought in to do. And we're at a point where he has, like, and it's not him. He's obviously, the owners want him to do this too. Like, we can't just pin it on Bettman at this point. The owners and Bettman have to understand that this is we're beyond the point of growing the NHL. We're at a point where, you know what, the NHL is in decent standing. Why don't we try to grow the game of hockey? Because every other, like, look at the NBA. The NBA went into women's basketball. They created the WNBA. They're now going into Africa along with Masai Ujiri. Like, I'm not saying copycat the NBA, but they've done that in the past, and it's kind of worked.
Yeah, we're not saying copy them, but we're kind of like,
get some different voices in. I think that's a big thing too. Masai, he mentioned that as well, where, and again, I'm not comparing it, but I'll use an example, as he uses Toronto as a major example, where, yeah, it is a big market in terms of sports, but that's what he loves about it, where he always says there's different voices and different perspectives that goes into it. And for the NHL, again, like we always talk about, where it's not growing, it is something that a lot of the owners, I feel like they're just like, it's good as it is. And we've had a different standard before on what we expect from the players in terms of responses. Let's keep it that way. Let's, in a way, and I'm not saying this is like the truth to it, but it's like eliminate like the human side to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. To me, it seems like no one wants to take major risk. Obviously, any move you make, there's going to be risk, but no one's willing to take the major risk of growing the game. No one.
We mentioned it. So I think if you look up the video, it's, I want to say 54-ish minutes is the total press conference with Bettman and Daly. It's funny, Sportsnet actually disabled the comments on it, which tells you all you need to know. And the like to dislike ratio was also reflective of how you probably thought it was going. So 47 minutes is how long it took them to let Rick Westhead ask a question. Again, Pierre LeBrun, who, listen, for those of you who don't know, if you just watch like TV and your occasional insider trading, you'll see Pierre LeBrun. He's not he knows stuff. He's got the connections. He's a pretty important insider, right? You know that. In Quebec, you're gonna know him that if there's like on the LDS shows, he's on the intermission, right? He's not like Freeman or McKenzie in that regard, but what he is one of the first writers I really started, following when I was like, I want to talk about sports. And aka kind of one of the pillars of the Athletic on the hockey side, it's Pierre. So I thought, and we've only kind of seen in Twitter in passing being like, good job to this person, but I just want to give a shout out to Pierre LeBrun, to the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, saying, I hope my colleague gets a question here. And the question that Rick asked was, I'm going to paraphrase here, we know that Kyle Beach and his family, apparently the commissioner said to him, if you and your family need counseling, we'll provide that to you and all the help you need for as long as you need it. So Rick asked a very good question, in my opinion. The boy the Michigan victim of Brad Aldrich, who was sexually assaulted, Brad Aldrich was convicted for it, registered sex offender. Would the NHL provide him counseling or any support he needed? The commissioner turned around and said, I need all the details. I need more details for that. It's funny that all he has to do is look at Rick Westhead's Twitter feed and he'd know. That is... I feel like that line is going to be Gary Bettman's legacy. Because it's another example of him just not committing. It's not even just not committing. It just shows, again, there's just no compassion in the man.
Lack of responsibility. That's how I felt about that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, listen, my hands are like, I washed my hands of this affair and everything. Like I'm not the guy you want. That's the way I see it. Because
and sir, I'll throw it to you here in a second, Alex. But you know what the thing was? And again, every time Gary has talked, it's been like the owners didn't know. Rocky Warts didn't know. Because here's the problem. And there's that whole thing in the John Doe 2 case about that reference, right? That apparently the Hawks denied exists, and I don't think it's been found yet. Because if it's an NHL franchise, you're the commissioner of the league, and it is somehow proved that your negligence led to Brad Aldrich getting the job in Michigan, and then that led to what happened with the kid, I almost wonder, and this is pure speculation by me, that if it's Gary seeing that if we're acknowledging it and we're lending support to this victim and his family, who from all accounts apparently was destroyed by this, it's them almost admitting fault. And when has Gary Bettman ever been accountable? When has he ever said, I'm sorry? Because I don't think he ever has.
No, he hasn't. That line you said, I need to know more, or I don't know, it's the line of the investigation for every single press conference, every single press release. And we'll get to the Kevin Shovel day off one, but like, I heard it so much where it's like, I don't know if I believe you. Like it was, I maybe believed you the first time and the second time, but when I got to the third time, I'm like it's getting to a point where you really didn't have these answers. Like, how is it that you don't know? Or like it's just, come on. Like,
I just want to confirm anything is from what my take is.
And it's, and it's not even just Bettman, right? Like every press release, look at like the Scott Bowman, oh my God, Stan Bowman, Stan Bowman one. He was passing the blame on to someone else. Well, I thought someone else was going to do it. Kevin Cheveldayoff, well, I didn't know, and it's like, but you did, like, it's there.
It's
like, I should have been better. I know that was a big line he also said too.
The line that Gary kept using with Cheveldayoff is he expected his superiors to do it. Well, by that logic, does that mean Bowman should have a job to Gary Bettman's viewpoint? Because he also made it very clear, I thought McDonough was going to take care of it. If there wasn't an understanding in Chicago, and we don't know what happened behind closed doors, obviously, and it came to the point where he needed to have a meeting, would it have been the same then? That's what I'm starting to wonder, because Bowman sung like a bird, did he not, in that entire thing? Now, Cheveldayoff, again, there's less in that. There's next to nothing about him in the report. The Jenner and Block one is what I'm referring to. But, you see what I mean? It's like, so by your logic, Gary, and he'd probably say different circumstance, knowing him.
Well, then Joe Quenneville should have it. Like Joe Quenneville said, well, someone else was going to deal with it or whatever. Like, this is the point we're at. So it's just confusing. Like, are we going to put responsibility on someone or are we not? Because to me, we're putting responsibility on a couple people here. And it's like, well, no, there's more than a couple people involved. Like, there was a meeting. Who was at the meeting? Who knew? That's it. Like, there's no, okay, and I think they brought this up. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but
no worries.
If you were in this meeting and it was assumed that, it's okay, I'm Kevin Cheveldayoff. Kevin Cheveldayoff says, well, I thought someone else was going to deal with it. 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the line, you're at the Stanley Cup parade and you see Brad Aldrich, which we know he did. He was there. Would you not be like, well, wait a second.
What's going on
Why
here?
is he still here?
So and just quickly, and from what Cheveldayoff claims is he didn't know there was a sexual assault. It was to do with a relationship or something between player and coach, which Bettman made very clear. By the way, it's still an unprofessional relationship. I don't talk about Cheveldayoff, but still there is still a thing of there is still a relationship between two people, or in this case, I should say, there's an alleged relationship between a person of authority, a coach, no matter what the role, a coach and a player. In that situation, you know that there's a black ace trying to get onto the team, and why is there? And he talked about apparently like phone calls or pictures. I don't think I have to really spell this out why that's probably still a red flag. You let the entirety of the series go. Not even just that. If it's like, oh, Stanley Cup parade, we're all excited. Like, still, you've completely missed on this. Not to mention the multiple celebrations afterwards you still see him at. There are multiple pictures that Jenner and Block have on their investigation. Like, in the report, they have like 4 or 5 different things of Aldrich being there. So, you know, what am I missing here? Because it's still what people said about Bergevin, right? It's like, okay, so he either is lying and knew, or he's just garbage at his job when he was of director of player personnel. With Chevy, you're like, man, you're an assistant GM. It doesn't matter what. And someone at the press conference with Cheveldayoff was like, they pulled this old article of him talking about his job as being a GM, and basically he was like, when Bowman was away, I was doing his job, and it was really, really good to show like what his whole job was. You know what I mean? Like, you were in charge of scouting in the salary cap, but dude, you were right there. You were right there. How many times have we seen a game? Like, watch a Vegas Golden Knights game, and they will cut, and you will see McCrimmon and McPhee there. Now, that's president and GM, but they're together. You know, like they are next to each other.
Go watch a Leafs game.
They're always together.
Maybe not so much now, but I know in the past, like pre-COVID, Pridham or Gilman and Dubas were in that room, like we're in the press box every time they pan to them. Shanahan was there sometimes too. Like, yeah, it has 11 years gone by and things changed that much.
So it's either negligence and you're garbage at your job, which you clearly weren't because you were so well thought of. You were hired in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So, and like, listen, it was great that they were going. It wasn't like it was like, oh God, here come the Thrashers, and everyone was so excited about that roster. No, they were not. Pretty sure they still had Evander Kane back then, did they not?
Yeah, they did.
Daniel, there you go. My historical.
He was like
reference.
20, 21 at the time.
And probably was still getting in trouble back then. Anyway, but no, there's just, and the last thing we can talk about from Gary's press conference here is when they throw it over to Daly, and he's like, yeah, so we've concluded the Akeem Alou investigation, and we're in contact with his lawyer. It gets tweeted out, that quote, and immediately, almost as he probably had it drafted, Akeem Alou's representatives tweeted out saying, yeah, no, we haven't been in contact at all, actually.
Straight up lied.
Just a straight lie to the media. It was almost comical.
Now that, it was comical. Now that is out there, that the league said the Alou investigation was done. Alou's representative said, no, this is not done. All the journalists who you know are now so hard on this story, or so on top of this story, should be using their time to talk about this, man. Like, this is very important. This is 2 years ago. It doesn't feel like it, but it was 2 years ago where all this came out and they started the investigation. And I think if these journalists want to hold to their word, and when they said that we're going to be there next time, next time is right now. Like, this is like, yes, the Chicago story is still going on, but once this is all dealt with, and who knows how long that will take, the Akeem Alou story is literally right there for the picking. So prove it.
I know people were saying that Cheveldayoff was in charge of the Ice Hogs. Everything I kept seeing was he was about scouting and, again, the cap. But if it's true and if his job was taking care of Rockford, he would have been around and in charge of Rockford, or maybe even off by a year. But you're telling me he didn't know about Bill Peters and Akeem Alou then? No. You know, there's something special almost when you're living through moments like I was thinking to myself again the other day, how do I tell if I ever have kids? Because they're loud and they smell and they're noisy. I always used to think to myself, like, how do I tell my kids what COVID was like? And I was also thinking to myself, I'm like, man, we are probably living through right now what might be the most important story in NHL history. And right now, the big players are almost unanimously doing the wrong right now. Now, I think it's fair to move on now to over to the Shovel Day Off stuff. Are you guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was with Mark Chipman, who's the head of North Entertainment, like the guys who own the Jets, True North. He was with Shovel Day Off. It got delayed a day because Chipman was sick. I think he had vertigo or something. Opens the press conference, and he didn't go into too much detail, but he did say that this was personal to him, and apparently he has a relationship with Sheldon Kennedy too. You could tell that there was sincerity there. The press conference opened with two statements from both. I don't think it was perfect from Chevy. In fact, I still don't think he should have a job. But that's me. And what I did like, credit to the Jets, even though it's kind of weird to give them credit for this. So they were alternating between in-person and Zoom questions. So the first one was in-house, you get that. Second one was on Zoom. Who did they ask first? Rick Westhead. And the first thing Rick said was thank you for taking the question. I was like, I just kind of paused and like, yeah, it's a shame he had to say that. What did you guys, I'm going to ask the same question here. How did you guys feel? What did you make of the Chevy press conference?
I mean, the bar was, I think I sent you the Mike Stevens article that put it very well. I'm just going to pull it up really quick here, but it's like the bar was on the floor and the Winnipeg Jets stepped over it. That's not an accomplishment. Mm-hmm. And I think that sums it up pretty well by Mike Stevens.
Yep.
Mike Stevens 81, not the other Mike Stevens, just to be clear.
Again, like, is what I expected going in. I was disappointed. I was going to be disappointed whatsoever. And it was the same responses over and over again in terms of responsibility, in terms of not really wanting to recall anything or say anything concrete. And I think like Kevin Sheldayoff, it's just, I think for him, there is that, I'm not like a severe point of desperation, but there is that tone where he knew that he had to say something to really save his job, where I know he had support from True North, but really, like, when I compare that with the Joe Quenneville one, it was kind of at a point where he's like, okay, listen, I have to say something, show some level, not a huge level, but some level of remorse, but it's not a whole lot.
He did more than Bowman did, who didn't even mention Kyle. He didn't even mention, or at the time, I think when Bowman put that statement out, it was still just John Doe. He did say there are two big takeaways I had from it. One was how Chevedayoff, and it was the proper thing to say, but he's like, someone asked him, it's like, I think it was Rick Westhead. He asked, I've been talking to Kyle the last few days, and, he feels that everyone involved should have some sort of form of punishment. Chevedayoff said this thing of everyone's being punished at different levels, take without what you will. But he said this line, I'm going to paraphrase again here, of, I'm in a position where I can still make a change within hockey. He had this really weird line when he's like, I went down to the room, I made a big speech, and then I got a round of applause from it. No one cares. I don't care if Blake Wheeler was like, "Attaboy, Chevy," because you were still part of this. And you
seems so accurate. I don't know if I think of Blake Wheeler.
But you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
But no, he didn't say that. But he didn't say Blake Wheeler got up and gave me a fist bump, going "Hoorah!" But like he's Sergeant Johnson in Halo 2, Alien, whatever. But like, you see my point here again. Even though there is evidence. So I shouldn't say evidence, because I'm not 100% on the legal thing here, but there's still a report out there that indicates that you knew about You could say if it was sexual assault or even if it was your thing, an unprofessional relationship between coach and player, which is the line he drew in the sand. That, and there was another line. Someone asked him, so what about when you said you didn't know about any meeting? And he said, well, there's context here. I was referring to people saying there was a meeting involving Paul Vincent, which, as we know, the meeting referred to at the end of the third round in 2010, like it had Mike Isaac, it had Gary, it had all those guys. That one did not have Paul Vincent in it. So it was almost like, I'm not lying technically, but I am. It's so annoying that he said that.
Well, it was obviously the way, like, it was lawyered.
He had
like,
that ready. He had the teleprompter in the back of the room. Yeah.
He did. Like, it was clearly lawyered. In the way it was written, like, it was very. I think the word I'd use is it's very deceiving, in the way it was written. That it made it. He was telling the truth, but it's like, well, like, come on, like, you're kind of lying, but I'm telling the truth.
Like, I'm not going to be as straightforward as possible.
Yes, it was deceiving. That's what I would say it was. Yeah.
I'm not going to come off as a sweating weasel like Gary when I am a complete smartass to you, but I'm still going to be like, well, like, there were answers where he paused, but for that one, he's like, well, context. Like, that's when you knew he was
prepared.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it.
It was lawyered, basically.
Yeah. There are a few times when, like, you just see, like, obviously when sometimes when Gary and Bill were talking, you'd see them just kind of look at each other for something. Every time I saw Chipman just sort of turn around and look at Chevy, I'm like, I wonder if he's thinking, like, your story better be straight from what you're telling me here, dude.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's like, when one thing from what Chipman said was the whole thing of, like, the Chevy I know. I just kind of thought of this now. The Stan Bowman that Jonathan Taves knows is clearly not the Stan Bowman that, failed to follow up with John McDonough as he claims it. Or, sorry, he didn't say that, but you know what I mean? The one who claims that, it was John McDonough. That wasn't the Bowman who had a part in that meeting, but I digress. One last note we should probably mention here on the controversial stuff, unless you guys have anything else to add with the Chevy and Chipman stuff.
Yeah, I just think I think the same goes for what I said about the journalist before and the Akeem Alou stuff. There were things that the way Chipman and Cheveldayoff were talking, there were some promises in a way made in terms of, making sure this doesn't happen again. Advocating for change again, like, they've made these promises. They've said these things out loud. They need to be held accountable. I personally in my beliefs, I don't think Kevin Cheveldayoff should be the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets, but he is. I don't know what to say about that. But again, it's now on the journalists to make sure that they're going to do that. Hold them accountable. Like, they were given a second chance, whether people like it or not, they were given a second chance. And now the journal, like, we have to make sure that they are held accountable for that.
Again, this story is going to keep going. We know it is. And when it comes to sort of sexual assault, we know that, or at least the word is, I don't think it's official yet, that Bill Guerin current Wild GM, is set to become the new GM of USA Hockey for the upcoming Olympics.
Comical. Well, I mean, not comical, but it's dicey. I know it, the pecking order, but it's so dicey right now to put him up there.
And it's more dicey since last time because there is an update. I'm reading some stuff from Mike Stevens. Again, yeah, Mikey Stevens, 81. Love him. Didn't come on the show. Anyway, so he has stuff in regards to the Aaron Scaldi stuff. For those of you who don't know, so Scaldi was a former coach in the Pittsburgh Penguins organization. And, how should I say this? Let me just actually read this stuff first off. Aaron Scaldi, wife of former Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins assistant coach, will be filing a sexual assault lawsuit against Clark Donatelli, Bill Guerin, and Mario Lemieux, who, as we know, Mario Lemieux is obviously owner of the Penguins. And yes, that is the Mario Lemieux, for those of you who don't know. I'm not going to go too much into the details here, but it's not easy to read, but you can find it out there. Basically what the former assistant coach says is that he was then let go during COVID for COVID staff reasons. And I don't know, the Pittsburgh Penguins can claim, look what happened in Buffalo. Yeah, we were cutting money. And I mean, they could also argue, man, Mario almost sold the team back in the day, but still right now you want to believe survivors, obviously, is what we'll say about that. And in regards to this, 3 days ago, NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley had a statement about it, that the NHL had no indication that Gary neglected his duties. And I believe at the time, he would have been head of Scranton in that. He would have been the AGM in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
So here's the full sort of statement here. And this is from October 29th at 10 a.m. NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley gave the hockeynews.com the following statement. Quote, based on what we know and the facts have been investigated multiple times already, this is not a Chicago situation. There is no indication that Bill Guerin or any other member of the Pittsburgh Penguins organization at any time neglected his reporting duties or failed to follow up appropriately on reported concerns. I am completely confident that when all is said and done, the U.S. Center for Safe Sport will conclude the same. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say there, but
haven't we been through this before?
It's just a crappy. I should say, by the way, Donatelli, I'd want to say eventually he did step away from the team.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that the former assistant coach puts it is that he was fired for reporting it.
Because it was I don't know, the coincidence and the time frame for it. Just, I'm not saying it's fully because we don't know the full details yet. Like it just, it implicates the Penguins to a certain extent where they buried this as well.
It doesn't look great too that again it's an assistant GM gets in hired and he's like this brightly seen guy in his new, like, look at the work he's done with Minnesota. It's, I think we've praised the work he's done, but all of a sudden it's just when you're looking at the US Olympics or just like USA Hockey right now, everything that they are going through with the gymnastics team, obviously, what are you thinking? Not at first telling Bowman to step down or something, or suspending him, into whatever you want to put it, and then going to Guerin with this hanging in the air. It's just a sort of like, what is the actual thinking here? And again, like, there's a lot of bright American minds in this game. Again, I think Burke is part of the committee. I know he's a president right now, but hell, go get Ron Hextall if you want. I know he's not super experienced, but Ryan Miller is probably a name that they want to get more into a role. You could have went and gotten him, even if he's just retired still. Go with younger guys, but
they could have done anything.
John Chayka if you want to. I don't care. And not someone who is currently being investigated for allegedly covering up sexual assault.
Okay, two things. Yes, I completely agree with that. I think that they're really dropping the ball with this. Like when they announced Stan Bowman as the GM of the team, this was still the ongoing investigation with that.
Right.
And then the same thing they're doing right now with Bill Guerin. And the way I'm seeing is, like, you've mentioned all these other people that they could have chosen. And I don't think you have to put like a quote unquote star manager in that position for this, let alone like these guys that are in like a lot of hot water right now. And like what we said before, like, it's Team USA. You could have put anyone there. It's not the hardest team to choose.
Yeah, like I just think it's poor thinking from them. Just because, how do you watch what's unfolding and say, well, you know what? Let's just take the chance. Like, I saw the report saying that the investigation had concluded 5 days after it started. What good investigation is done in 5 days? Because the argument to me that, well, the NHL had investigated and they found nothing. After Chicago, that means nothing to me. That means nothing. And if I'm someone investigating, that I would imagine would also mean nothing, because the Chicago Blackhawks did it first time around. And I'm not saying the Pittsburgh Penguins did it here, but there's a chance that they did. And there's an investigation that was going on. It should not take you 5 days. It should take you much longer, as well as the findings of another investigation shouldn't necessarily stop you from doing another proper investigation.
Let's also never take the NHL's word when Kyle Beach goes on TV and says they didn't want to touch my investigation a couple months ago.
Right.
And it took an independent thingy and all the pressure and that, like, I think now, like, the president has said, like, I want this public, the findings here, after what's just happened in Chicago and the gender and block stuff. Like, I don't care if it's done. Let me know then. Where's it? If Akeem Alou is done as well, where is it? It's just a loud night in my household. I don't get it. Neither do the dogs. Another kind of news. And my mic is just not working. It's just completely...
It's been that kind of night. It's okay.
Actually been the last 2 minutes. Okay, now apparently it's working again.
We're good.
That's
We're
enough.
good.
Sorry if that sounded like crap there.
We're good.
Apparently Brad Aldrich's name, this from Ryan Brashog, is now off the Stanley Cup. It's been axed. And I saw Alan Wall say, okay, now go get his ring. Yeah, no good. I don't know how, but he shouldn't get a ring. Absolutely should not. Melt it down for all I care. Or like just, I don't know, just do something with it. Just throw it into the Flames. Bring it across to Mordor, go to the top of Mount Doom and cast it into the flame from which it came, for all I care.
Sure, whatever.
Who cares?
Whatever reference that is from, I do it. I think it's Harry Potter, but...
Oh my.
Lord of the Rings.
It was Lord of the Rings.
I said it. I got it.
Oh my God.
Right the second time.
I can't... we're just going to move on from there.
Please, get out of here. Like, I'm the only one who hasn't seen it. I guarantee you I can get you a list of people who also haven't seen it.
And
we'll do a poll.
All of them are in the wrong. Kind of like the NHLPA.
Yeah.
So apparently now the players did have a good meeting, apparently. Donald Fuhr somehow has a job, but now apparently there's going to be a vote on whether outside review is needed to look into how the PA handle it. How about just start it? Like, there's absolutely no excuse at this point. I don't know how the players didn't go in there guns blazing and say you need to go. There was something about questions about, like, State of the Union. I don't care. Like, what has Don Fury done for them? Beside the Olympics, because we talked about that last episode. Like, what has that man done?
Shout out Wayne Simmons for his honest comments about the NHLPA.
What did he say? I saw it come up today. I screenshot it, but I never read it. What did he say? Because I saw people were like, ooh.
I'm going to pull it up unless, Daniel, you have it.
No, I don't have it. I
have it right here. You want the full one?
I would love it.
Okay. This is Wayne Simmons, I guess, this afternoon at practice. I find in the NHL, when something happens badly, guys are afraid to speak up because of repercussions, and that's something that's definitely got to change. It's unacceptable. I think within our dressing room, within a lot of other teams' dressing rooms, now the culture is kind of starting to change and starting to roll over, considering the new blood that's coming into the league. I'm in lockstep with what Robin Leonard said last night. More players have got to speak up. More players have got to do their part. We don't want this to continue as we go down the line here. We've got to make it better for the guys that are coming in after us. It's not about us anymore. It's about what happens to the young kids that are coming into the league now. I feel everyone must be held accountable, whether it's the NHL, the NHLPA, everyone has to be held accountable. There's no excuses, and this can't just be another fleeting moment where it's here now and gone tomorrow.
Preach it, man. I couldn't have said it better myself. My mic's, I'm not dealing with it.
No problem. Again, I'm a huge, like, I've mentioned it so many times before, how much I love Wayne Simmons. And just to have a guy like that right now, like, if I'm going to give him a little bit of I guess, praise right now, just to have someone like that. We already knew on the ice the type of character he brings, and for him to be, again, like that rarity of being honest, of giving his opinion to the media, it's amazing.
It's a shift, man. It's a shift. You know what? It was a minor thing to talk about, but the dress code thing, right? Again, I'm still on the fence of I don't care. I just like the look of the players in suits. I think it's a classy little thing, but it's sort of an indication that every tweet notification I'm hoping is Eichel, but it's just the Rams sports. How dare you? But now it's like it's the little things you're starting to see players speaking out more. I think of some of the things that Jack Hughes was saying, and all that before the season started. The Kachucks too, and how there's like that younger generation that aren't being afraid to speak their mind. And the dress code is a small thing, but it's another indication of that. There is a change coming with the next generation, and we saw it not just on the ice with that, but we saw it with contract negotiations with that big RFA class. The times are changing in the NHL. And you hope it's for the better, and you hope that it goes all the way up the lineup. I want more coaches like Rod Brindamore that are there for the players. I want more GMs that seem to care. Presidents like John Ferguson Jr. in Columbus. Look how great that guy is. A sort of transition.
John
Davidson. Oh, yeah, John Ferguson Jr. is the guy in Arizona.
I'm like, oh no.
No, sorry.
Did you miss something?
John Davidson.
But I agree. Before we move on, it's just one more thing. And again, like, I think I've referenced this maybe 2 times already, but it's just, I guess that's owing to, the strength and I guess the depth of that Richard Coffey interview we had with him, is that he always talked about the isolation of the game and how it was always different from the other sports. But I think now, and social media in a good light, with all of these younger guys coming up, they're seeing what other leagues are doing. They're seeing what voices these other players who basically are the same age as them doing the same thing for their own respective league and what they've been able to do.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shall we move on?
Sure.
First off, it's November. You know what that means, guys. It's Hockey Fights Cancer Month. Unless you're the Bruins, because for some reason their night's in December, but whatever. Also, beside that, I see a few of us are... Daniel, you look like you're clean shaved, so you're clearly starting to grow.
I grew it. I started growing it the 1st, so... Like I shaved on the 31st.
Yeah, exactly. So you've gotten. Alex has his going. I got a head start because I need it. It's November time as well. Yeah.
I also got a head start.
Yes. So it's November. Get the stashes out, lads. Again, I wish I could use a certain word to describe cancer here, but I can't. Whenever Pittsburgh have theirs, watch because Boyle, man, just has a way of showing up on those nights. So great.
It's so event. Like Taylor. I mean, like it's so like I'm gonna say edited. It's so what's it called? Trimmed. I don't know why I said edited.
What's trimmed?
His mustache is always like to the point, and it's like nice and curled.
It's a cookie duster, man.
Oh.
That's how I call it, at least. Note about Columbus quickly. Did you guys see the game with Lincoln's telling his fellow Columbus players don't rush the puck up because the Rangers were winning and he wanted to preserve the shutout or the attempt against Shesterkin, and he put a stick up saying "attaboy."
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was cool. All alleged stuff, right? I don't know.
I think afterwards he said, "Yeah, I wanted to salute him." The TSN panel had a thing about this. Why do people hate goalies? Like Dreger was the only one he's like the goalie union is strong. I think O-Dog was like, nah, screw, typical O-Dog in that. Where's the respect for the goalies here? Where's the respect? I like that. Especially because like Jake Allen he's had like his 2 or 3 or his last 2 starts he got shutouts, right? And there's a face-off with 5 seconds left. It's 3-0, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Johnson just says, oh, and look at that. Suzuki, Dvorak, Petrie, and Sherrod are all going out there with 5 seconds left because there's something to play for with 5 seconds left because he didn't want to say it. We're in the face-off, puck down the ice is a shutout, right? It's just, I don't know. I just think it's a really sweet. I like shutouts. I don't think we talk about just how big a deal those must be for attendees. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
especially like Merzlikins had such a rough year. Like what happened with everything with Kisletics and that. Now he doesn't deserve what happened. And AK, we've been meaning to get to this forever, but this is from October 25th from Aaron Portsline. Elvis Merzlikins said a fan wearing a Dallas Stars sweater taunted him regarding the off-season death of a friend and former teammate, Matias Kivlenieks, as he and the Blue Jackets teammates came out of the tunnel for the start of the game. We're not saying that that's every Stars fan, by the way. Like, every fan base has those
guys,
people.
those people.
Every fan base of the world period has those people. Unfortunately, but I look at that and then I look at what he did for Shesterkin and I just think, man, what a class act who just doesn't deserve that sort of attention. That makes me sick.
You know what he is? He's a personality, right? The personalities are always attacked in hockey.
Oh, hey.
In all sports.
There was a video, like an ad that showed up on my, just when I was watching stuff on YouTube earlier. And it was PK just talking about Montreal. And I was just like, man. No, it was just, you made me think of personalities getting attacked. So besides that, but just, people who do that kind of stuff should be like just banned. Like, just find out who it is. And you shouldn't be allowed to be at sports games. Or more importantly, you should get help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't like being Mr. Psychologist but
yeah.
in that scenario, like, go get help. Because, like, for those of you who don't remember, Kislenieks sort of credited that, Merzlikins credited that what Kislenieks did saved his wife and, I don't know if the child's been born yet, but wife and unborn child's life there. So, next time you think to do that, just take a look at yourself in the mirror. This is all I'll say there. Besides that, I want to play a quick game with you guys.
Alrighty.
Okay.
A bit of fun, a bit of yanking the chain here, because we haven't had a lot of fun because the past week in hockey has been garbage. It is time for Pretenders or Contenders. We're going to look at the top 3 of every division, and we're going to say, are they real or are they fake?
Okay.
We're going to start at the Metro. Third place, it is the 5-1-3. The Habs haven't even been to OT once. The Caps have lost 3 times.
Wow.
The Caps, Backstrom hasn't been there to start. They're third place. They're 5-1-3. Do you guys believe in the Washington Capitals right now?
Daniel.
Kind of. If that makes sense.
Washington has one of his best starts in history.
I know. So
what is this?
I'll say contender because they always are a contender. I mean, at least in the Alex Ovechkin era, yes, contender.
I had them contenders last year, and I'm going to have them contenders again this year.
I think
you want to say chicken tender. I don't know why.
I think I called them my biggest disappointment of the year going into the season. So to protect my own image, even though we all know that I have started the Alex Ovechkin goal counting Twitter account, go follow it. I will say Pretenders, but I want to say Contenders, but I have to stay. Second, the 6-2-2 New York Rangers, who I believe blew a 2-0 lead last night.
I think they're a pretender because there's no stability there, right? They have
5 players making $53 million and you're paying Chris Kreider too. What a joke.
Again,
I'll tell you about like productivity with things. Like they brought up all those young guys where I saw a tweet about like those quote unquote untouchable assets in a potential Jack Eichel trade. And none of them are doing well. Like Alexis Lafreniere, Capo Caco.
Their young players suck.
I just
stepped down.
The one that really got to me was Vitaly Kravtsov, which just has NA.
And he was loaned this afternoon to the KHL. If you guys haven't seen it.
Ooh, that's tough.
There is a potential for return. I believe Friedman said it was part of his contract.
Right now they've locked up their core. I don't know how Barclay Goodrow is going to be like the next Connor Brown, where it's like good player, but like he's going to have to go eventually.
Yeah.
But listen, they've got a good core. You know what I mean? I just question what they're going to be able to do in the playoffs. So I think for now, I'm saying this because let's remember Sidney Crosby has played like one game. Apparently he has mild symptoms for COVID. Get well soon, Sid and everyone else at Pittsburgh. And Malkin is still out, like he always is. So at the moment, I'll say they're legit because they have a good. Their good players are good. Their young players are like, like everything else is kind of like, I don't know what's good, but they have a good goaltender, really good goaltender, some great defensemen, and some pretty wicked forwards up front, right? So I'll give him credit. And the 8-0 Carolina Hurricanes, and last time I saw Freddie Anderson's goals saved above average was like plus 11. I went, oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. So are they real?
I think they're the real deal. I just don't think they're contenders. I just don't think they're this good. I think eventually things will even themselves out in a way.
Are you trying to tell me they're sorry, Daniel?
Go on.
You're telling me they're not going to win their remaining 72 games?
That is correct. 74.
74?
Yes, that is correct. They will not go 82-0. You heard it here first.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I think contender, but what Alex said, like it's a hollow contender because they got better, quote unquote, for now in goaltending, but they lost a lot on defense, and I think that's going to even out eventually. Like I've always talked about the Jacob Slavin and the Brett Pesce, those type of guys I really love, but I don't think the other guys they have surrounding them are going to do much. So like they lose with Dougie Hamilton, but they gain with Frederick Anderson. So kind of balances out for me. They're like they're the same team.
He has had a hell of a start, by the way. I don't know if we've talked about it, but he is 8-0.
That's pretty good.
Or 7-0. Like he's just ridiculous.
He's back with a vengeance.
Can we talk about how I wanted to go bring up Tony DeAngelo's numbers, and I accidentally didn't put it all in properly, so it just went to a recent Tony DeAngelo search. And it was an old one saying, Rangers Tony DeAngelo throws tantrum after Twitter bans Donald Trump. So, but that reminds me, we haven't heard anything from or about Tony DeAngelo all year.
Still like his contract.
That is the plan.
And he's a +9, and he has 9 points in 8 games. I hate it. But man, Rod Brindamore, say what you want. But has sort of kept Tony DeAngelo under wraps for now, and has turned with him and his defensive core and system, Freddie Anderson into the new coming of Patrick Waugh. So, or maybe because he's hiding behind a great defense, we should say Martin Brodeur. Anyway,
2017, 2017, Freddie is back.
Or he's just healthy. Like he hasn't been healthy in like 3 years or 2 years.
A team I thought was off to a worse start, but are still third in division, the 5-3-1 Tampa Bay Lightning.
I think they're contenders, guys.
The Atlantic it's pretty tight unless you're Montreal, which is pretty funny. I'm just realizing. Or the Satins, but they have a core that I'm fine. They're going to get, I guess, Kessel. They're getting Kessel, by the way.
Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
They'll be fine. I have a feeling they're contenders, guys.
Yeah.
Contender.
Back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. I think they're good.
No argument there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 5-4-1 Toronto Maple Leafs, who all of a sudden have won 3 straight. I feel like it should be 4, shouldn't it?
Sorry. Are you on the NHL website?
No, I'm just looked up the Google one. And I realized they don't count overtime stuff on there because they're dumb, don't they? Because I thought it was 4 straight wins.
I'm so good. So
Vegas, Detroit, the Rangers, and Chicago.
Okay. Wait, did they beat the Rangers?
No, they did not.
No, they didn't. They lost in overtime.
Oh, so was it just 3 straight?
Yeah, it's just 3 straight.
Yeah. Okay, because their first one was against Chicago, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like in that streak.
Chicago, Detroit, and then they beat Vegas last night.
Yeah.
That's silly. Okay.
Like their first non-close win.
Pretenders or contenders?
I think they're contenders, just not like, again, similar with Carolina. Like, I don't think they're top tier.
Can we talk about that if the Sabres get Valimaki and Kachuk, they could be in it because they're tied with Toronto and Tampa with 11 points. The Sabres are about to get better, which is really funny.
Okay. But we got to take that with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
They're goaltending.
Oh, yeah, the goaltending's kind of...
I love how they're tied with Tampa and Toronto with Craig Anderson, Aaron Dell, I think, and Dustin Tokarski.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Dell has not played a game.
So it's just been Ticker and Anderson. But Anderson does have magic, doesn't he, Craig?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Oh, no, I was going to say two things. So, yeah, again, because you didn't ask me about the contenders for the Leafs. So, yeah, they are contenders.
Yeah.
I still believe. And last thing is, we mentioned him already, but we never really mentioned him too much as a Leafs legend. Aaron Dell.
Yeah,
the guy literally invested in Leafs equipment.
Hey, listen, you didn't play a game.
Okay, final team. They're off to a pretty good start. They are the 8-0-1 Florida Panthers. Now, the big kind of question here, obviously, is how will they look without Joe Quenneville now? But I think as of right now, I love their roster so much. I'm going to say they're good. Even if they will not be as good as a team as they were with Joe Quenneville, I'd say it's going to be pretty hard to not make the playoffs with that roster and that talent.
Yeah, I also agree. I think they're contenders. Like the only one I'm kind of worried about is their goaltending, but that's just Sergei Bobrovsky. He can most definitely prove me wrong. He's won a Vezina.
He's two.
Yeah,
he's on set to win a third this year.
It's getting a lot better. He is back.
Him, Freddie, and I don't know, maybe Binnington, because the Blues. I'm breaking the order here. Never mind. We'll go to the third place, 6-3-0, Minnesota Wild. Kaprizov is off to a good year. It's almost like the guy who has been good every year he's played pro hockey and everyone was so worried about paying is actually playing well and everyone's kind of surprised about it. I think they're legit.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if this was last year, I would have been, I don't know, but there's not too many changes to the main contributors there. So, because we already know Parise, Suter, they were not main contributors anymore, but they're proving us wrong. Yeah, the decor is okay, but I mean, Alex Goligoski, I criticize that signing, but listening to him in interviews, he's still good, and he's a guy that he's one of those guys you want on the team because he actually really wants to play for his hometown team.
Right. Yeah.
He's the Michael Bunting of Minnesota.
Jason Spezza. Let's
make
the age range a little bit a little bit better here.
Pretend for a while.
I'm gonna go with contender.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all I gotta say.
It's kind of weird because Colorado are 4-4, but you're how long until that lasts? But the second place 5-2-2 Winnipeg Jets. Jordy Ben scored a goal. That was pretty funny.
Does he have more than his brother?
Yeah. You know what? Give me a minute.
I feel bad saying that.
No, it's okay.
Jamie Benn doesn't deserve credit for winning a scoring title of 89 points. Get out of here. Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say I think I really like this team, and I mean I liked them last year as well. I think they're contenders. I think they will be a pain in the butt this year. They were quiet. I think it was Adam, you said they were quiet, or was it someone said they were quiet? And just the moves they made solidified that decor, which was their biggest issue.
I think two things for me is they are a contender mostly because of those acquisitions really balanced up the team. Reminds me of Florida in that sense. And I think the second thing is when they talk about that scoring from a second line, Pierre-Luc Dubois has really picked it up this year. And that was something that they've been waiting on for a year, basically.
I mean, they've been waiting for a second line center for years.
Yeah.
He's hardly better than Mark Scheifele anyway. Yeah. So never mind. I guess he didn't get credited with the goal. I swore he did, but he has 0 goals, just Jordy. Jamie has 1.
Oh, okay. He would have tied.
If they had given Jordy the credit he deserves, then it would have been thinky. Number 1. In the Central, they are 6-1. What helps with this is Tarasenko's good again, so that's pretty nice. It's the St. Louis Blues. I don't believe it. I think like if they're wild card, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe they scrap with Minnesota this year. But listen, having a 40 goal scorer play well again is certainly going to help you a lot. But I still don't believe in the fact that they have no solid number 1 D and just a bunch of pretty good complementary guys with no distinctive 1.
I also think they are pretenders. Different reason, but I think I don't know if they're going to mend that relationship with Vladimir Tarasenko because that still seems to be up in the air. And I think they end up trading him for whatever they get it. I just think that's not their demise, but it's something that needed to be done. And unfortunately, it will lead them to be pretenders.
He will also go to Tampa Bay.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Dan, your favorite team.
For me, I actually put them as contenders. And I think it's because they don't have like a true star guy, but I think about, and I know it's a different sport, but I think about the Atlanta Braves last night where they didn't have like a true superstar guy for them.
Suck, Houston.
But there
Dirty cheaters.
There's enough talent around that they could potentially make a run, or these type of guys could get hot in the playoffs. Like I think of a David Perron, even if like he doesn't have a really good regular season, or I think about their center depth where they are two-way guys and they may not be the highest scoring type of ones, but they've been there before. So yeah, I'll give them that credit. The defense, no number 1, but it's still solid. And then goaltending, Jordan Binnington.
Good year.
I really laughed when I sent you that thing because I'm like, he's not only winning, but he's back in top season form with his antics. So if he has that confidence, then I'm like, okay, we'll just run with it.
Swinging at Kadri, I'm like, watch out, Kadri's going to come back after you.
Watch out, Darcy Kemper.
Can I ask you something, Daniel? You had them not even making the playoffs last year. Right? Let's rehash that memory.
Yo,
have they done anything drastically different?
Well, think of it like this quickly before you say Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a similarity with them in Washington. But Daniel, go ahead. But I want to bring it up in a second.
I don't know. It's just kind of there's this energy to them, and I think that is the Vladimir Tarasenko thing. Where there's so much uncertainty with that, but he is their guy on offense, and if he could keep on going and showing that he's healthy, then again, like it's going to be a win now type of team. He's probably leaving. He's probably going to do like a Kawhi Leonard thing this year, maybe if they win it, and that's it. I don't think he's coming back, but they are consistent enough where they haven't really imploded in a way. It's just they're a team that if they could still be scrappy the way they won the cup, right? They still have that core. So I'm not saying that they are a top tier team, but they're a team that could upset the higher guys. Or I don't know if they're gonna stay where they are, but they are gonna make the playoffs.
I forgot they signed James Neal until just now. But here's the thing with both Washington and St. Louis. The big thing with them last year was they're starting to get stale. And then all of a sudden, here comes some young talent in the lineup. AKA, it was all of a sudden, especially right now with Ryan O'Reilly apparently being out, didn't realize that. Guys like Robert Thomas are finally getting more freaking ice time apparently. So that's pretty cool. And again, like, I'm still going to say pretenders because, I still believe in some other teams more than them. But you guys know how big of a fan I've always been of Tarasenko. like just a skill guy that can take over the game. But I think some of those young guys really coming in has really, really helped that team. Not to mention, never forget Marco Scandell's on the team. What a weird contract.
Habs legend.
Yes, indeed. The team that they're back on the winning streak. The 6-3-0 not St. Louis, San Jose Sharks.
They're back
Last night. That game against Boston, they made it a 1-goal game at the end. Erik Karlsson is back, I'm telling you.
I have them as pretenders.
Yo, you know what's funny? You can say every team in this division is a contender and the pretender at the same time.
Yeah.
But no, go ahead. It's just like this division is such a crapshoot.
It is.
Hilarious.
I think you've pulled out one guy and it is Evander Kane. You've improved their goal. You've changed their goaltending, which is an improvement. I just don't know how much. I don't know if that's enough to completely turn around this team. Like the issue last year was depth. Then you have to rely on now the depth started well this year. You have to rely on that going throughout the entire year. And I just don't know if it's enough with the teams around them.
Yeah, I agree. I think after so many years of just going in the wrong direction, they finally turned things around. But that's the thing. It just was a gradual turnaround. Like now you're headed in the right direction. You still have a lot of problems with this roster. You still don't know what you're doing with the money. And yeah, I think this is a team that they're showing the potential when you don't have distractions around you, where you don't have, I guess, from our perspective, a level of expectation based on how much money is given to these players.
Yeah,
it's no longer there. So I think they're just playing their game. And I think Aiden Hill was a great acquisition for them. But yeah, they are pretenders for now, but they are going in the right direction.
Listen, all I'm going to say is don't underestimate getting a save for the first time since like 2017. So I'm going to say that they are contenders. Because Erik Karlsson is back, even though since I said that he hasn't had a point. We'll ignore that.
I think he's been out.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he was on their COVID list, wasn't he?
Yes.
That's why. Because he'll be back for real, continuously.
It's really hard to follow, like for the COVID protocols. It's actually getting so difficult to follow along with it.
Hey, we haven't had a game canceled.
Yeah,
that is true. No, it's just it seemed not that it's unorganized. It's just not. It hasn't been relayed the same way as last year. I think. To the public. It
isn't. Plus, it's not like a COVID, and then you kind of have a heart attack because you're like, oh god, we're not gonna have hockey, and we're gonna be gone for 2. And it's like, no, we're good. Anyway, second place, the Calgary Flames. Markstrom has been better, which is pretty jokes. Mangiapane is off to a start. Man, listen. If they get Eichel, man.
That guy's going 30-30.
I never know what the Flames are, so I'm just going to say pretenders just because I'm like, whatever.
The rumor going around with I don't know if it's a rumor or confirmed, but apparently he is on the 55-man list. He is the only player other than the goalies to be thrown out there.
Good for him. He should be on it.
I imagine the World Championships played an extremely major part in that. He did lead that, in a way he did lead that team. I'm gonna go with pretenders for now, because for the most part, a lot of it is the same lineup as you've had in the past. You add Blake Coleman, but you do lose what? Sorry, you add Blake Coleman. Right.
I was just like, oh yeah.
Then you lose. You also have to remember they lost Mark Giordano in a room that seems to be divided. Mm-hmm. To have a leader like that taken away is difficult, and I don't know what to expect. Like they've only played 9 games. Listen, they could be contenders by the end of the year. I hope they prove me wrong. They're in Canada, the guys at Sportsnet would say, more Canadian teams, the better.
David Nibber's like, of course they're pretenders.
Yeah.
The Habs are still in it, damn it.
I'm going to say for now, they're pretenders.
Daniel.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. They are pretenders. I don't know what they are because
no one does.
I know that Daryl Sutter it has the name. It has the name, and it's been working to a certain extent. It's just when two things are swirling like this, like they're a really heavy team where, it's not a lot of the same mobility I saw with other teams that they still want to use that size. And the way things are swirling right now, the way that we know that it's not, the most harmonious locker room, I'm going to put them at pretenders. And I don't think this is going to last. And I think if they do really swing for the fences in a big deal, it's going to be better for them in the long run, but it's going to set them back.
Yeah, what do they need? A real first line. No, I don't agree with that. Because if you get Eichel, you have something that not many teams actually have, and that's it's Eichel.
I know. I mean, like, for now, because, like, going into the season, like, he's going to get the surgery. Yeah. But I mean, that's what I'm talking about for, like, this season, where it's like, that's going to push them back for now. Like, it's the one step back to take two steps forward, like, type of thing.
They might not have the bestest of seasons that we expect if they trade for Eichel. Like, losing Tkachuk would be a piece. But I think next year we're having a discussion about they're going to make the playoffs, like 100%, with Eichel and Monahan as a 1-2, with Gaudreau, Mangiapane. We add the names. Like, this is a team.
You know what I kind of like about Calgary, though? Is I don't think Suter's been all just sort of what I don't think Suter has been on the outside what we've thought he was. Because I think the big difference from what we see in him now and the late years in LA is he doesn't have a decrepit, old, and slow team where we don't quite know what, like Jeff Carter wasn't himself anymore. What was Dustin Brown? And even he's kind of been like every other year is different with that guy. And how do you fix the locker room issues? Apparently, trade Tkachuk. I don't know, man. But hey, I mean, I still think they're pretenders, but a team that I'm going to say I don't care about goaltending, I don't care about defense, because when you have So right now, here are your point leaders. Number 1, Leon Draisaitl with 17 points. Number 2, Connor McDavid with 17 points. I love it so much. The Edmonton Oilers are in first. They're 7-1-0. Listen, the further the season goes, the more 7-6 games they're going to win, because Koskinen and Smith are playing well now. You get those points early, and McDavid and Draisaitl do the rest. I will say that they are contenders for the regular season. Let's see what they can do in the playoffs when they win a round or two, but then go against like Colorado or St. Louis, and you wonder, oh, are they really that good? But it's fine because McDavid, woo, 100 points, 120 points.
I was about to say all of that, by the way. Yeah. So, I agree with Adam that contenders for now, they look good. Regular season reminds me of 2017.
Yes, it's a very good point.
It's a similar type of situation, so just see how it goes.
I also agree. I believe they will be contenders for the regular season.
Mm-hmm. So apparently Brad Aldrich's name is just XXXXX apparently, which is cool. I saw somebody say on Twitter once, don't take his name off completely, put the X's, because then people ask and the story stays alive, which I thought was a really, really cool point.
It's a good point.
Can't remember who said it, but you know who you are, but you're probably not listening to this because who knows what you are. Okay, besides that, we can just quickly finish off here talking about the Habs and the Leafs. They both won their last games, which is quite rare in Montreal, and the Leafs, they're starting to get more of those. Okay, let me just clean up. I have 6 tabs open right now. It hurts to look at. Okay, first off, we'll look at Toronto because they went out against Vegas and they dummied them. I said last episode that Marner needs to get a real goal, and oh boy, did he. I'm not going to criticize them too much for beating up on a Vegas team that was bare bones because, listen, Pittsburgh were, and look what happened there. So they sort of learned their lesson there. And like it was a classic story of the Stars were doing their job, and in Toronto, when that happens, they win.
Yeah, and they played a full 60-minute game, which if you haven't been listening, is been the one thing I've been clamoring for since probably episode 1. recently, the last 2 episodes. And they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They beat on a team that was kind of down, and I don't really feel bad. Like, it's just the way it is right now for me. I don't feel bad, and the guys who showed up were the ones who were supposed to show up. One thing, I don't know if you guys picked up on it. I'm sure you did, but Mitch's reaction to that goal was vastly different to the reaction he had. I think it was the game before or 2 games ago.
It was against Detroit. Yeah.
His goal against Vegas, I've never quite seen the monkey being taken off a player's back more than that moment. He was red-faced from just letting it all out. Like, you could tell a lot was lifted there.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I hope everything is okay.
Yeah, like, for me, I think 2 things. They didn't let up for 60 minutes, that they showed what they were able to do. And clearly, they learned their lesson from a Pittsburgh team. Like, even if you have half of what your team is supposed to look like at the NHL level, you still don't let up against them. And I think I agree with the way the Mitch Marner goal was, his celebration, the way that the passes were for all these goals, the way they were just able to get to Robin Lehner. It's a morale boost. It's something that they really needed to do, and something that they needed to address when they were going through that losing streak, when they were clearly not getting anything from their best players. So again, a lot of things with the Leafs could really shift from the time we see the next game, but I think this is something that they should build on.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I think you may actually made my point there kind of, but it's not just this one game. I want to be clear. I'm not back on the bandwagon yet. Not just yet. They need to do this more than once, every once in a while. It's got to be a consistent thing. I think they have to continue building on this one game, and not let it fall against Tampa Bay. They can't let defeat or adversity get to them. They have to push through it. That's my speech. Thank you for listening.
That's my TED Talk. Thank you for, for listening.
Remember people used to say that all the time?
Mm-hmm. What, it was like a big meme?
Like, when people, I don't know, I used to get these in the group chats where people would like send a bunch of messages, and sometimes they were huge paragraphs, and then they'd be like, anyways, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes.
You know what else I kind of like?
What's that?
I love the media.
You love us.
I also love the media. Tell me why.
I love them and I hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Know why?
It's that song. That's a Rihanna song. I hate how much I love you.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I hate to break it to you. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, no, because I'm like, so we've had this Growler stuff in for a while, right? And basically, so the Growlers, who are the Leafs ECHL team, the Newfoundland ones, or as some people who are not from Canada call it, Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
I don't get why we don't call it Newfoundland, because it's literally how it's written, but whatever, Canada.
That's too many questions.
Quebec, get out of here. Get out of here.
Who says Quebec?
There's this commercial that keeps going around. It's like these British people saying Quebec, and I just want to rip my hair out. Because it's just like, no, it's not.
It's Quebec, right?
It's Quebec. There's no
Quebec.
W.
Or Quebec, if you want to throw the accent on there.
Where? Quebec. Say it both.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And for some reason, the short form of it in CP style is like PQ. It's like, how? Why is there a P? Yeah, remember like the short form, so Ontario was like ONT.
Right.
Quebec's like PQ. And you're like, how?
Province de Quebec.
That's a really good, that might actually be it.
I might have figured it out. I might have broken it.
Congratulations, Batman. The boat full of prison workers and employees will not break. That's like a saw trap. Like, you've won the game.
Will
anyway,
the Leafs win their next game because I got that?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
They win game 4. And there we go. The reason I bring it up is because I haven't seen anything about this. So Newfoundland Growlers, the ECHL team of the Leafs, suspended all their home games apparently because there's been some sort of workplace conduct stuff. Now, there isn't a ton of detail, unless I've just completely missed this. And apparently, the investigations will not be made public whenever they come out. So I have not. Apparently, there was going to be this whole big rebranding of the team or whatever when it came out. But this has just been. I just thought this would have been a bigger deal because, there was going to be someone like Steve Simmons that says, oh, first the dusty stuff and now this, is there something rotten in the Leafs wall? Like just some dumb headline like that. But no one has talked about this. So I don't get it. Obviously, there's been more important stuff this week, but we've had it on the dock for like 2.
Yeah, sure. Like it's just, to me, I put it on the dock to talk about. To keep myself accountable, because I did say last episode I called out plenty of people about the Chicago stuff. So I would think or 2 episodes ago I would think it was fair to keep myself to those same standards. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that keeping it private. That one, I like just watching how this unfolded. And again, once more things develop of this, I'm surprised they haven't yet. I hope again that this story continues to develop and we know what's wrong, because it's very odd to see a team lose their home stadium because of workplace conduct investigations. More so we see it because they can't afford to stay there or some other financial reason. So to see it because of this, it drew plenty of attention to me, at least.
So, the St. John's mayor and chair of the SJSEL, which is the Deacon in Sport and Entertainment, whatever, it's sort of the parent company here. So, chair of that being Danny Bree, great name, explained in a statement that employees of the SJSEL have brought forward allegations of disrespectful workplace conduct against staff at DSE that must be fully investigated. It's just so weird that I'd be repeating myself. I'm just like, I'd like more here. And I don't get why they're not being made public. I mean, it will get out because, the Leafs, but I don't know. This is really, and to think that it's just like, I don't know. Who would thought that the Leafs were going to have issues of where they're playing before the Coyotes did?
Yeah, that's the one that surprised me about that.
Theory, the Newfoundland Coyotes.
No.
Hear me out.
We're going to move the Coyotes.
Who makes more money, the Growlers or the Coyotes?
I have a fun fact, by the way, about that.
Go ahead.
So, the Tuscan Roadrunners?
I thought you were going to say the Tuscan Raiders. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, the Tucson Roadrunners, my mistake,
Yes. They're, for those of you who don't know that, the AHL team of Arizona, yes.
Yeah, they used to be the Toronto Roadrunners.
Oh, really?
When it was the St. John's Maple Leafs. But the thing is, they were the affiliate for the Oilers.
What happened to the Solar Bears, and why was that abandoned?
That was an amazing name, by the way.
Cool logo.
I believe they are the affiliate for a different team now. I'm not sure which one.
I could search it.
It was they were the affiliate. They're still a team, I believe, unless they folded due to COVID. But this was a few years ago, pre-COVID, where the Leafs opened up in Newfoundland, which I think they had been going there previously.
Disgusting.
To
They
Newfoundland.
make it the Newfoundland Solar Bears.
I have an update.
Well, they're still.
They're the affiliate of the Lightning and the Syracuse Crunch.
That makes
sense. Of course they are. Well, it's in Florida, right?
Florida.
But of
Makes
course
sense.
they have the cool one.
I have another fun fact about them.
It's full of fun facts.
Their head coach is former Leafs draft pick Drake Berehowski.
So that's Orlando?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I remember I had an elementary school teacher, this was a random fact, that she always mentioned how the Leafs took Drake Berehowski over a bunch of guys in the 1990 draft. I think they took him over Martin Brodeur.
Really?
Of course
Yeah.
they did.
So, for those of you who can't see the YouTube version, I pulled
So
up
nice.
the Orlando Solar Bears logo. Which Daniel doesn't like this logo that has orange, yellow, and purple. He likes this one. He doesn't like the Coyotes one though.
Well, because it has a cactus.
my
It
God.
has a cactus.
Okay, I just the
Hold
bottom
on,
part. I just don't like the bottom part.
So the polar bear here has a hockey stick holding it behind his head and sunglasses. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know who thought. I don't know. This feels
I
like
like that pun you had.
What?
The polar bear is cool.
Eat bread. But not like just whoever thought of this. It's like it's honestly it's like an EA created a logo, but it's so cool. You know, I'm surprised he doesn't have a Coke in his other hand. He's like, yeah, what up? I love that logo so much.
In his other hand.
And then there's this other one, but that's we don't like. That's
that one's.
And they've ruined.
Looks like a cigarette company.
That looks like that's like the first Orlando Solar Bears' less successful brother.
Yeah.
Who maybe had some incidents with some white powder with Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Oh my God.
Some big news. Yeah, the Habs won. Great. Yeah, woo. 3 wins in 3 weeks. How the boy.
They're getting there.
Yeah, Druin's day-to-day. Good to know he's good because he took a puck to the face. That was tough. Remember when Dano got one and got concussed because it was from a Chara shot? It was at that game. Tough. I think they lost.
Remember I sent you, I don't like Cedric.
Oh, yeah, I thought you meant... I was like, what's wrong with Cedric Diggory? And he's like, no, I don't like Cedric Paquette. Yeah, because I don't know why he's on the team. Cedric Paquette.
He has a winning attitude.
And he's French.
I think it's more to do with French.
Bringing back the championship pedigree.
Listen, I didn't want to say it, but I have a feeling it's true.
I don't think Cedric Paquette won a cup because he was with Ottawa last year, right? I don't think
Didn't he win it the first year?
Yeah, the year before.
Was he?
Because he was the salary dump with Braden Colburn for marrying Gaborik and Anders Nilsson.
Yeah, he hasn't played. Hold on a minute. Am I an idiot? Yeah, no, he did play in that one. That's disgusting. 3 assists and you signed. Yeah, no, he should have been suspended for what he did to Zegras. Did you see then Subban got tripped for doing his slew foot thing that he's always done?
Yeah.
And he got $15,000 I saw. I was like, wait, what?
And it was to Zegras. What is going on with Trevor Zegras?
I'm like, man, that poor guy's had a rough thing.
I want him to mic him up.
What
did
I do? Come on, PK. Come on, PK. But anyway, the last big thing we can talk about here is the Habs are apparently expecting to have Carey Price back soon. I think somebody was saying that I think it's around like the weekend he could be back. I don't know the exact day of when his 30 days are up at the player assistance program. You got to think he'll come, he'll skate for a while, but cool. It's not even just because Allen won the Molson Cup for Player of the Month because who else were you going to give it to besides like Druin? But like Allen, back-to-back shutouts, he's doing really well. Or no, sorry, it was 2 and 3 games. It won't be so much the performance because we all know what Carey Price is and like it's Carey Price. Good, love you, man. Favorite player. I've missed you. But I think what Montreal are really going to benefit from is they're going to need his presence back. Because even if they won, did you guys see the clip of Jonathan Druin at practice?
No.
Yeah, I saw a bit of it. Yeah. So
Alex, he was just skating, or he was really mad. He was just. It's not like a fight like PK and Mechanics back in the day, but he was just yelling and getting really pissy with some of the coaches. I think like him and Luke Richardson were having a thing. Someone was making a joke on Twitter saying, "Why do we keep dumping it?" It was hilarious. But man, Carey Price coming back. Hopefully he's all good in that. But like his presence in that room is going to be so good and it's so needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough, man. Like just
is.
everything that's got, yeah. I mean, like I'm just, like it's just rough. And to miss a guy like that. And I think it takes, you look at the best leadership groups across sports, not even just hockey. It consists of more than one person. It always consists of more than one person. We looked at what happened in not Tampa Bay, in Boston. They were talking about the leadership group and how they approached the Kyle Beach interview.
That was really cool.
Yeah. So I don't know if Gallagher alone was going to be able to bring this group back together. It's great that Weber was there for a few days. But I think having Price there on a consistent basis is a much bigger deal than expected.
Did you ever watch Mighty Ducks 3, D3?
No.
I think so.
Okay. There's a part where, I'm going to spoil this for you guys.
It's okay.
But heading into the, I know this is not even allowed, but heading into the third period.
Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't.
Spoiler alert! Heading into the third period, they're getting out-muscled by the bigger varsity team, the Warriors, which are basically Chicago Blackhawks, and and Dean Portman. Remember that guy who was one of the Bash brothers from the first one and the second one? Okay, and he signs his scholarship in the middle of the game to play at the high school, and then he joins the team as the morale booster they need to head into the rest of the game. So it feels like that for me.
He's Michael Pizzetta.
Yes.
Good great hair, by the way. What a good game.
I saw his hair. He looked fantastic.
He is great, that guy. He fantastic.
Are we still on the Habs right now?
Yeah, man. Fucking Carey Price is getting his time. Of course we are.
Okay, sorry. I have one funny thing to say, but I'll keep it for later.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well that's it then. Unless let's check everyone pull up Twitter.
Okay, while we're checking Twitter, as long as Carey Price is okay with whatever he was dealing with, I think obviously is the most important thing.
As long as he's ready.
30 days or a year.
For sure.
There is nothing on Twitter, unfortunately.
There's just one funny. Can I say my funny thing?
Yeah, good.
So Greg Wyshynski said this. This was 6 hours ago, though.
Oh yeah, Mr. hates Carey Price. Yeah, go ahead. Can't wait.
No, I love Carey Price.
I hate him.
Greg Wyshynski. He's like, I asked Anaheim Ducks coach Dallas Eakins about seeing Jack Eichel rumors, and Dallas Eakins says, "quote It's kind of like whatever shows up in my Twitter feed. I read about what's going on in the New York Times. I see Bitcoin is hot. Then sometimes I read about how Jack Eichel is going to be traded to the Ducks." End quote.
Gotta love Dallas Eakins. We should mention, because you're here, congratulations. We said it last episode, but yeah, you're here. Ryan Getzlaf, the all-time leading scorer in Ducks history. It is disgusting knowing he was almost traded last year, knowing how cold. Did you not mention it on the show, Daniel, that he was getting close to Solani?
Yes, I did. I'm like, he's almost there. Which is surprising to me, because I think the trajectory of a lot of things, where I always thought Corey Perry was going to eclipse it. But I know all the injuries and everything. Yeah,
he's not even at 800 points, eh?
No.
Yeah, but it's okay, because he's basically the captain of the Habs without being there.
No.
I hope you're all right, Cole. God damn it. But no, that's cool, man. Yeah, if he was healthy. Well, not to mention, Solani had, been there from the start. Getzlaf isn't touching him, but
yeah. If it wasn't for like the San Jose and Colorado years,
yeah. That's hilarious to think that like the 70-goal year in Winnipeg, and then like the year he took off knee surgery, go back to Colorado and has like an 80-point year, and you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do not talk about how good Solani is enough. I've noticed.
Me, I love the guy. I really do love the guy. It's just I think when it was already at the twilight of things. Like, because I was still a kid, right? Like, I think I really did grow up with Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry and Jaguar.
It's unfortunate all of Solani's records with the Jets are currently with the Coyotes, but
that's always weird to me. Yeah.
How funny is it that the Jets right now are like our all-time leading goal scorer, not Solani, it's Laine, and it's like he's not even on the team anymore.
I'd like to say, okay, I know I use a lot of references from different sports, especially this episode, but technically the records of the Seattle Supersonics are owned by the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then they actually planned a ceremony night to retire Gary Payton's jersey.
Yes.
And he actually said, no, like, I never played in Oklahoma. Like, don't retire my jersey. I'll just wait for the Sonics to come back.
Yeah, it's like raising a 100-year-old banner. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
no.
Number one for fan. Whoa, yeah. Can't wait to see how full this arena is when we've lost like 5 straight later in the year, but whatever.
Now that we're on final thoughts for a lot of things, we forgot to mention one thing.
We're just stretching it out to get the Eichel trade.
Okay. Congrats to Pekka Rinne. His jersey will be retired.
Yes.
Who will be the first? I have it screenshotted. He will be the first Predator to ever have his number retired. Weber will obviously be the second, but I think they kind of have to wait there because otherwise, I think if he announces too early that he's done, think there's going to be some cap recapture.
It's like Gary Bettman putting himself in the Hall of Fame while he's still. He's still
February 24th, 2022. Yeah, that's cool. You know, that's really nice. They did it nice and quick.
Was that not announced before, like in the summer, or am I just pretending?
I
may be thinking of Lundqvist. Because
maybe I am.
I think we just kind of agreed that it was going to be done. But
maybe that's what happened. When he announced his retirement, we just assumed he was going to be retired.
Which, I mean, fair enough. He's pretty good.
Man, the tweets right now. Sorry, like I know Pecorine. I love the guy. Amazing goalie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so distracted by the Jack Eichel stuff.
We all are.
Some of the tweets are hilarious. Like, just heard the Flames have traded the roof of the Saddle Dome for Jack Eichel.
They've sold their new arena. That's actually the it's not the people of Calgary paying for the new arena. It's them paying for the Jack Eichel plane ticket now.
Exactly.
Oh my god! I just remember. Okay, in semi-pro, remember when they get the Ed Monex? They trade their washing machine for him. Yeah.
They're their equivalent. They're trading Jack Eichel just for the roof of the Saddle Dome.
Yeah,
Calgary from now on will be playing in negative whatever during the winter, and everyone will be wearing fur coats.
Yeah, I can't tell you how happy I am that we caught up to all the news, because I have had stuff on my phone for 2 weeks, and I hate having extra pictures on my phone. I like having like 20 at most, and I've got 23 to delete. So it's clear. Okay. Well, thanks, Buffalo, for not getting this done. And if that package is true, why is Brady Tkachuk and why is Matthew not? He's so, by the way, he's so not going to stay there long term.
No.
Like, he's definitely going to Ottawa now. Or
they're going to trade him to St. Louis at the end of the year.
For Tarasenko.
Wow.
No, because Tarasenko was then going to leave there, but yeah.
It's just a revolving door.
I know.
Yo, I can't wait for Kevin Adams to look like a genius now, because like his ownership wouldn't let him make a trade until now. He's basically going to be Joe Sakic now.
The Buffalo Sabres, the Eastern Conference, Colorado Avalanche in a year or two.
Stop. No.
Well, hold on. Let's think of it, right?
Well, they don't have a Nathan. Yes, but they don't have a Nathan McKinnon.
They have Tage Thompson.
Yeah, they will. They'll have Shane Wright. Well, no, because they're going to win the cup this year, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Because
can you imagine if they actually make the playoffs this year?
I will laugh so hard. Well, it's almost like, is it not me, or is it the position Buffalo are in this year? We kind of thought Montreal would be in. It's like bottom dwelling team compared to like maybe fighting for a wild card, and you just kind of swapped. That makes me really sad. They're well coached. I can't wait for Don Granato to win the Jack Adams.
If they make the playoffs, and I mean, there's still like 70.
Yeah, 100% he's getting it.
Skinner's going to get the Hart.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at his numbers. I know he scored a pretty nasty goal like back game. When he's
Greg Anderson's going to win the Vezina, and then the two of them are going to win the Jennings.
Is he like 42 now?
And around him.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Buffalo, thank you.
This is going to break in the middle of the night, I have a feeling.
Yeah, this screams an 11 p.m. trade. So you guys should stay up just in case we need to. We need to do that.
Every time there's a trade that should break, you know what we should do? We should be like a radio station. We just start playing music until there's like a next update.
Do we do an emergency podcast if Eichel's traded?
If it's the deal that they announced, I mean, yeah, I guess.
Okay. Well, hopefully I can figure out what's wrong with my mic. That'd be nice. Okay. Thank you for listening to the show. You should download it on iTunes, by the way. That would help us out. And Ben, you don't know how much that would help us out.
Oh, that would help us out a lot.
It would. Besides that, you can check out the show on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel. Check out Alex's blog, Daniel's stuff for CGRU and the like. Next Wednesday, people under Ryerson, go pick up a physical copy of the the article's not going to come out now. I'm going to look like an idiot. Anyway, that's coming. Keep your eyes out for the Eichel trade. Check out the show's TikTok and whatnot. I really got to write a script for the end of the show. It kind of sucks. Voice said, thank you for being a great platform as always. I haven't said that in a while.
Mm-hmm. We love you guys.
What?
We love them.
We do. I don't love Buffalo right now. But that's it. Goodbye.